sometimes it is good to start analyzing. Okay, how long have I worked? You see, it could be a temporary thing.
Yes.
But if you worked in a place for 10 years, it's hand to mouth, you're not investing anything. Probably it's time to start auditing some of your behaviors. Some of our jobs have actually been the hinders of us achieving our purpose. You're in that season, you're in a deep. They say a drowning man will clutch at a straw. And the straw we clutch at, most of it is debt. Hey, Lynn, nikubaya. Do you have 10K? Kuna pesa nangoja, please lend me. So what are you doing? You're piling debt over debt. It puts more pressure. Because you're busy fighting this situation. Please stop. Stop fighting. If they're telling you they will come and auction you tomorrow, open the gates. They don't have to break in.
Is living paycheck to paycheck a good thing? Or what are some of the solutions you have?
You also have to start questioning where you are. It's not about counting the money. It's about making it count. Umelipwa so mbili leo. It's a casual job. You've earned 200 shillings. Okay? You may not invest in it, but can you live within the 200 shillings?
Hey guys, welcome to today's episode of LNN. My name is Lynn Ngugi, and I must say I am so excited to start this new year with very thought-provoking conversations. And even before I go any further, I want to thank you so much for your support last year. I mean, last year we did a lot. We learned and relearned, and that's what we are doing right now. We continue with that same theme, and you guys got us to 1.16 million subscribers. We had our lows, our highs, and we did that together. And honestly, I can't wait to see what this new year has in store for us. I have an amazing guest in studio today, and this man has been doing an incredible job enlightening us about our finances. But it's not that I just admire from him. It's the fact that he teaches us that, you know, money is not just money, what you see. There is a lot that goes into money, and I can't wait for him to be able to share some of his thoughts with us. And always remember, you can be able to connect with him. His social handles are on the screen because maybe there are things we might not address on the show, but I want you to go and check out his social handles because he has a lot of information for you. I'm about to let him introduce himself, but before I do that, it's always amazing to have our partners back for another year. Kings Developers Limited, thank you so much. We are entering our third year together, and you guys have really been supportive of them as well. So if you are looking into investing into real estate, houses, apartments, why don't you try our people at Kings Developers Limited? Last year we visited a lot of their premises, and I look forward to seeing what they have in store for you this year. But if you're looking into owning a home, once again, call them. The numbers are on the screen, or visit them at their beautiful building, Hapo Prism Towers, and tell them Kings Lean Centers, what do you have for us? And also tell them wakupatie discount. And also to thank my teams, Kola, Muga, Joshua, the entire team at LNN. We are back at it once again. It gives me great joy to do this again with you guys. I always say you get to see me in front of the camera, but it takes an entire tribe to be able to put this work together. I appreciate you, and of course to you once again for subscribing. Mi usema unaweza pika chakula na kuna mtu wa kukula, so I don't take it for granted that you guys have been active participants of our work. Honestly, that humbles me. And of course, now without further ado, please allow me to let my guest today, my first guest of the year, introduce himself.
Wow, thank you so much.
How are you?
I'm very good. I'm very honored to be here, especially the first guest this year
of the year.
So thank you so much, and congratulations for your achievements.
Thank you.
Yes.
And to you too.
Asante sana.
I know. We are all celebrating a couple of wins here and there.
Yes.
Losses as well, as above, so below.
Yeah.
So really nice to have you looking sharp.
Asante sana.
Yeah, for anyone that is seeing this face for the very first time, looking at that camera, could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Greetings once again. My name is Amos Ngahu. I am a coach, a financial coach, as well as an accredited mediator. And for close to 2 decades now, I've been doing what I do, just helping people relate better with their finances. So, karibuni sana.
Good.
Yes.
Man, I have to say what you've been doing even across your social media platforms is really amazing.
Yes.
But when did it hit you that we really need to start having money conversations? Because me, by the way, I was just like, life moves on. Now it's only now that I'm learning how important money conversations are.
Yes.
For you, what was that aha moment that made you realize we need to have these conversations?
Well, for me, I think it would be an issue of purpose, because I think a while ago I used to be a salesperson. But then over time you'd realize that you've sold something to someone, an investment, but then they're falling off over time. And then because of the terms and conditions, they lose off their money. But then when you sit down with them, you realize it's because you did not sit down to plan. You did not sit down to see their needs. You did not understand their season at that particular point. So that's why now, before I now sold you anything, would sit down and talk about your money. So sometimes it could be someone is not ready to invest. They want to come out of debt. So you help them maneuver out of debt. Yeah. That's how it started. And then over time, there are things that have happened to my life. You've lost here, you've gained here, and all this now builds up to the stories that, you know, a lot of people go through. So now you share your experience. Plus also now having the privilege of meeting so many clients and learning, you can be sure that I learn a lot from people, because I don't have the monopoly of knowledge. So a lot of people share their stories, how they maneuvered. And then now it affirms what you're teaching, that also it is quite practical.
Okay.
Yes.
And, you know, in line with our theme for this year, what's that one thing all of us might need to unlearn about money? Something we learned and it's just about time for us to unlearn.
Well, it's interesting, and I think it's the whole concept of financial literacy. There's this misconception of that financial literacy is all about investment, you know. So people will say, I cannot listen and sit down with Lynn right now because he has a coach, because I don't have that money. Please sit back, because this conversation is meant to prepare you, because financial literacy covers several things. There is the attitudes and behavior, which is where we struggle. But then there is knowledge and skills, where most people now are aware, you know what to do with your money. But now attitudes and behavior is where we struggle. I keep telling people, for love of a better word, I am yet to meet an idiot in the 17 years I've been doing what I do. Everybody knows what to do with their money, but why aren't you doing it? People know that I need to go. If you go down Mbagathi, our friends who move from Kibera all the way to industrial area, most of them are casual laborers. So this person is probably making 300 to 500 shillings per day. This is not a person you can stop to listen to Amos when he's teaching about money, because this person is on survival mode. And you see now where our economy is, everybody's on survival mode. So we are compromising even the safety of the very safety of ourselves. You'll find a motorbike guy has to hit his target. So anatumia wrong side, he's thinking he's saving fuel. But tumbo iko na njaa. So that's a person on survival mode. That is part of financial literacy, to know that there's a season. You don't really have to invest, but understand where you are and adjust accordingly as you wait to move to the strategic area. So that is why we keep saying that there's that notion of financial literacy is just about investment. There are so many things you can be able to cover in this conversation.
I love what you just said. Just because I can't invest right now does not make me immune to the knowledge.
Exactly.
So do you think that's a mistake we make? Because I think I'm not on that level, or I'm not at that level. What business do I have listening to such conversations?
It is true, and I think it's a conversation we had earlier. It brings out the issue of wealth, when you want to leave wealth for your children, inheritance. You know, the conversation about generational wealth. We all know the bit whereby if you die, you leave an inheritance for your children and your children's children. So that is the God of Abraham, Jacob,
and Isaac.
and Isaac. So it's a generational thing. What we miss in this conversation, number one, do you know what you leave in your children, not just for them? is an inheritance. I don't know whether we are together. There's what we want to leave for our children. Yes, houses, property, money. But then what you leave in them is equally as important, because you'll find, okay, that's a whole different conversation called financial traumas. You will find if you don't leave something in them, the day you're gone, they don't know where to start. So financial trauma is the kawaida, you've heard of normal trauma. Someone went through something and they are traumatized. There are things they can't be able to do without triggers affecting them. So you will find someone has worked really hard, and we have seen such big names in Kenya, made incredible wealth, but after they are gone, what happens? People are fighting over their wealth. Now you find this person was very busy getting to the work very early. So are the kids aware of what he was doing? No. He married 1 or 2 wives. Have they ever been involved or in any money decision? So by the time this guy is gone, they don't even know where to start. They're wondering, I've met a serious case where a lady could not purchase anything from an electrical shop because everything was bought for them. Signing a check, they are shaking. They have messed up the checkbook because the signature is inconsistent. Yeah. Why? Because this person has financial trauma because of what? Not being included.
Okay.
Are we together?
Yeah.
It happens with children. Now back to the issue of inheritance. Now you've left physical wealth, but nothing in them. So now your inheritance is no longer a seed. It is food, and that is why they will fight for it. So it's what you leave for them. Is what you leave in them. Number 2 is also your ways. If you grew up in our times and you had a local shop, where you'd be told, hey, Lynn, nenda uchukue mkate, maziwa, I'll come and pay. Then there's that kabuk. You remember?
Yes, umeandikiwa.
So do you know what that did to you as a child? It's okayed for you to borrow for consumption. And that is why you'll wonder why people are struggling with digital loans, because they are learning it is okay for them to do consumer debt. Are we together? So if you've grown up in that culture and you're used to borrowing for consumption, you go out and you're the one using the digital loan. It is a culture which you may never come out of unless you identify it. Okay? So it's your ways, the way you live, the examples you do. So even if you're borrowing, don't allow your kids to see you borrow. You're okay in it.
Man, I think anyone watching this, because I know obviously we have different generations watching this, millennials, boomers, Gen Zs watching. I think every millennial will relate to the kakitabu.
Yes.
Man, because so that was not the right thing to do.
It was not.
So what is it that our parents needed to learn?
Now, the other parents who did a very good job.
Yeah.
That they never borrowed for consumption. They taught you to live within your means.
What you have.
Whatever is put on the table is what you eat. Okay? Is what actually you share. Okay? So you'll find, let's say it's a couple. One of them has grown up understanding that digital loans or borrowing for consumption is okay. So that's a casual approach to finances. But then you find, on the other hand, this person has been taught to be content with what is there. And then probably even school fees is paid annually. So what does that tell you? Now these people, unless they have this conversation, they will forever be what? Fighting. Yes. Okay. So that's why now we are talking about inheritance. Are your ways, are your kids seeing it? Because sometimes we focus so much on the physical wealth, we ignore the fact that our kids are here. It's not everybody who's going to be a billionaire. Okay? Kids have to understand seasons. That's the other thing. Financial literacy, you also need to understand the season you are in and understand it's something you need to prepare. I am sure our viewers, it's not everybody whose life is a straight line. Some have gone through a dip, they've come back, they've won, they've made money, now they've gone down, and now probably they're on our way back. So in those seasons, how are you adjusting? And this is why the newest luxury I'm teaching today is contentment.
Wow.
Through luck and plenty, you learn to be content. Investing is secondary.
Yeah.
Yes. For instance, you see, you cannot be indisciplined and think you'll get the discipline when you get money. In fact, that's why you'll have a lot of people right now who are very poor rich people. I don't know that you get my point. Very poor rich people. Someone does not even know how he got where he got. So the day he loses it, it's what we call borrowed confidence. You've allowed what you can do and what you have to define who you are. So when you lose it, they lose it. They lose their minds. They go into abuse and they are gone. They never come back again. So again, back to the issue of misconception and inheritance, we have to really be intentional and dig deeper. Okay, I don't have wealth now. What can I be able to do now? You don't wait to look for almost when you have money. In fact, I avoid such people.
Who have money.
Yeah, because nowadays, people who are in the kitchen always in the sink washing something. You get what I'm saying?
Yes, I get you. Yeah.
So we have to start a journey together. And that is why inclusivity for me is a big thing. Include students, young people, even not just students, even people who feel like they are not well off. Start a conversation, challenge them. Because money without your stories, to me, is useless.
It's useless.
Yes.
Would that explain why, if you've come from very humble beginnings and you start touching money, behavior zako zinakaa tu funny like lack of your mindset, hiyo na kukua prepared. Would that explain why when someone ametoka maybe ushagwa ameshikashika tu pesa hapa anaanza unaona?
Is what we're talking about, trauma. Because again, if someone has been extremely poor, kuna pesa hajaiona na macho yake na ikuje, it's trauma. His walking style will never be the same.
No.
I mean, I was social media has now become a very good consumer.
Yeah.
People say that, hey, Mimi, on payday, it's not my thing to cook. I don't cook on payday. It's an issue of this person probably has been traumatized. And that is where you'll see, they say money talks, but wealth is silent. Okay? So the people who are extremely wealthy, they don't even talk. They are not even visible. But wewe unasema ametoka, unasema ni mfam, ni kienyeji. Ametoka mali, now you have money. You have to prove that you're not wrong. You see, the mistake is, most of us have been running away from poverty for a very long time. And even when you get money, you're still running. Have you ever been chased by something? You have not looked behind, but you continue running. Only for you to run a very long distance, then you see no one is chasing you. Yeah. So that's why we need to convert the riches into wealth, into something sustainable. Let's transfer the knowledge. Let's transfer the money. Let's be content with where we are. Because at the end of the day, we don't have much time. We've lost people who are younger than us, isn't it? We've lost people who are older. So you don't know how long you're on this earth. Learn and teach yourself how to be content. In whatever season you are, transfer what you know to the next person, to your peers, to your children, to your parents. You've seen how messed up some of our finances when it comes to parents are. Your parents have assets. They have huge assets, but no cash flow.
Oh.
But you're the one supporting them. So at what point do they convert? Do you teach them how to convert these assets into tangible assets that are actually not taking away their energy? Because now at that time, they don't have energy. They have health issues. How do you have this conversation? So it's a whole conversation about money.
Okay.
Yes.
Can we go back to our parents? What was it? Nini ilikuwa hapo? Because, I'm beginning to think wealth is now different for some people. Like now, if I tell a Gen Z, for example, buy a piece of land, they might look at me twice like, Lynn, what are you saying? Me, I don't need a piece of land right now. But me, I grew up knowing land is everything. Lynn, ukishika tu pesa, the first thing you need to do is tafuta kaplo. Could you walk us through the shift, the transition between these generations, and how now do we merge together so that if I have a child, I can be able to tell them this is where I'm coming from, but this is where you might need to go from here. You don't need to do what I did.
Yeah. Let's have a small sketch of how generations over time have changed.
Okay.
If you go to pre-independence, education was a big thing. So anybody who even did driving got a job.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you've seen those pre-colonial photos of a driving school. People seated on a desk with a stone on top of their head so that when they're changing gears, they cannot look at the pedal.
Oh my God.
Have you seen that?
That was a thing.
Yes, they were putting, and then you have to change the gears and you cannot look down.
Oh my
So
God.
back then, driving would get you a job. You get?
Yeah.
Now, what happens over time? Education now became advanced, and anybody who went through school, not just graduating, would get a job. Now, what happens over time? Now, these people would go get jobs, but then they would want to stay away from the inherited land. So they would buy land. So it became a thing. Okay? And those are now our grandparents. Okay? Now, the ones that now have land over time now transferred that idea to our parents. So our parents know that if your grandfather had 100 acres, now we'll have to inherit some and buy some.
Yes.
That is where we find our parents have the inherited land and also some for themselves.
Yes.
Now, what happens now to us when we were born? We are being told the first thing, like you're saying, buy land. But then what happens? There's a mix-up. After 2000, when now, we used to go to cybers and open email, there's something called IPOs, and the market started to open up. We became now aware of what markets were. That's where you found that 2002 all the way to 2010, there were IPOs being offered. Now shares, people are buying shares. And at the same time, that's where also, what do you call them? These pyramid schemes came up. So people now are looking for where we can invest. Then again, crypto came in. Okay. Now over time, you've seen in the digital space, young people are making a lot of money sitting as long as they have internet and a gadget.
Yes.
Because so many things have changed. Now they are trading. Now there's online working. There's virtual assistants. So someone can be here. They are an assistant abroad and they are making the money. So what am I trying to say? Even the land that was being bought, even if you subdivide 100 acres to 10 children, each child gets 10. Those are your parents. Your parents, even if they had 4 children, so each one of you has 2.5.
Yeah.
So if you have 2-3 children, what is happening to that land?
Inaenda tu
Isn't it? And then there's this culture of you cannot sell inherited land. So what are you doing? So you have a land somewhere you can't sell, but it's worth 10 million.
And full of drama.
Yes. Yes. And the 10 million, if you just do a bare minimum of some of these money markets, you get 15%. Okay. If you buy early in the year and late last year and previous, like after October, going back a year and a half, the bonds have been performing very well. You hear there's an infrastructure bond of 25%.
Yeah.
So if you have 10 million, 25% of that is what? 2.5 annually. So even if you split it into because it pays after 6 months, you have a good return. But now we are not ready to have that conversation because we don't want to confront some of our cultures. Okay? So that is why we are talking about now being able to sit down with our parents, having these conversations. You know, my own dad bought a piece of land and he's been telling me he's going there, traveling, you're spending money. Yet nowadays, you can just get a pin and the bearings of that place. And someone who educated me that they can be able to actually pinpoint where it is, send you Google Earth maps with certain features, and you get there. You get, times have changed. You get, so it is what we are talking about. We have to sit down with our parents. I know it's hard for them to listen to us, but if you're sending money to them, if you're sending black tax, it gives you the authority to sit down. Before I send that money, let's have this conversation. Yes.
Oi, wanashindanga kwa shamba. Man, yes. Na utatuma pesa ya fertilizer, so many things, and them they are okay. But you know this is not okay. But
you also, sometimes, you also have to understand their perspective.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you would, there's this story of this guy, I think he was a white man. He went to this remote area, and so women would travel the whole day to get water. So according to him, the solution is a borehole.
Borehole.
Which makes sense
to
you and I.
Yeah.
So he did borehole I think every village. So 2 years when he came back, the boreholes were locked. So he was like, they dried up. No. The women still go to the river. Then he was like, why? Because there are social issues these women were sorting. The husbands were idle and they were abusive. So the only way this woman can survive is cook breakfast, leave early, go do the laundry, wait for it to dry, and come back with water and come back late, so that there is no time to fight. So we have also to understand our parents, that some of them, as much as they have retired, they need something to do. So as you give a solution, look for a way of seeing how can they be actively retiring. Okay, if it is something they used to do, how can you just help them adjust a couple of things to do the same thing?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you are dad, right?
Yes.
What are some of the things you're doing with your children to teach them, to give them a wider perspective on money?
One, it starts, sometimes also when you in my book, the first chapter, I talk about some things you can do to give you an income. Now, you'll be surprised, a lot of them lie within your talents. It's not you getting capital to do it. Some of them lie within your talent. For example, you have looked for a way of professionally and making your guest comfortable, isn't it? It has given you viewership. Other than production, you can actually do this, okay? And even make money. You can moderate events.
Yes.
Are you spending a lot of capital? No. So it looks at also your abilities. So one of the things I've discovered is that I have two sons. That the first one is nothing like me.
Zero.
The guy is an indoor guy, but he loves tech. You get my point?
Yes.
So I'm teaching him how to use his abilities to do what? To first of all find some sort of purpose. So over Christmas he was making cards with my computer. So he can actually draw, and I thought actually he had photoshopped. Kumbe it's actually drawing an art. So empower him.
Yes.
So you're selling cards. So one of the things you need to do is also, if you have children, it's not just actually the physical wealth, because we do not have much. Mali uchumi imefika now, you really don't have the luxury of investing as much. You have to be super aggressive. So if that is not sufficient, make sure that this guy, first of all, is confident in what he's doing. He's well equipped to be able to pave his own journey. You could be here as a doctor. You're forcing your kid to be a doctor like you. But guess what? This guy is the next Olunga, who kicking a ball for a few seconds is earning millions. And you're busy forcing him to do what he... So let's be aware, let's be intentional and sit down with your kids and find out what is the area of calling. Push them that way. For me, I'm ready to hand over my business to my assistant who you talked with, because he's done his economics, he's doing his master, because he's learning what we are doing. The best way to cheat on death is to invest in the immediate next generation. My kids are not the immediate next generation.
No.
It is this Gen Z we are working with. Are we together? So my kids in future can own shares in my organization.
Yes.
But that's not their core business. Let them pursue what they've been called to do. They are called for greatness. So let's also not play the role of God, choking their purpose, because we are selfish. We want them to be like
us.
So the little one is one probably who might be like me, but he's also into tech. He's voiceovers. He's doing very well. So he's a guy who you push that way if he wants to go that way, but do not force that. That's the first thing. Again, let them see you work hard. Let them instill the principle, the virtue of work. Let them see you, invite them to the office. Let them see, now the problem is that now you're not doing legit business. You have a lot to explain.
You have a lot of explaining to do.
If you ask what you do and you start with like, and then there's a problem. So let them see you work, isn't it? Let them see the hard work. Let them, the allowance, the money they make, let them work towards a target. I remember the first time I put them in SGR and we came back with a flight to Mombasa. He had not been on a plane, so I told him, save up for the tickets. So he's the one who paid for his ticket and his brother. That was 500 bob then. And he felt he had achieved. He still has those tickets somewhere. Yeah. Yes. We went on a holiday. He was happy. So also teach them to work towards a simple goal. Because that's where that's what will give them motivation to do more. Okay? And then most importantly, if you can teach contentment, even better. My kids, if you put together, yes, they will eat. If you put plain mboga and ugali, they will eat. Okay? Why? You have taught them contentment. Yes.
Do you ever let them see you vulnerable? Do you ever let them see this is our moment of luck?
Yeah.
Yes, we have, but this is also our moment of luck.
I'll tell you what, 2019, things were really tough. My business came down, my wife had lost a job. So we scaled down to a small house. From a 4-bedroom to a 2 house somewhere, uko ndani ya Kambura. And I remember I was so worried about, what do I tell him? So I sat him down, I told him, we'll be here. It's a small house, but we're only here temporarily. Do you know what he told me? It's okay, Daddy. It may be small, but it means we'll be closer to each other.
Oh.
You get my point? So
he said that?
That's what he said. I have never been set free. And that also set me free because the people who used to call you, visit you back then, they reduced. So that's when he taught me the concept of people who care don't matter. And people who matter don't care.
People who care
don't matter.
Because he cares.
Yes.
And you might think
no.
People who care.
He matters, but he doesn't care as long as we are together.
People who care don't matter.
Yeah. Have you ever noticed if something happens to you, there are people who will be like, Nalina jashiko, Alina jabdaktio. You get my point? Yeah? Yes. And those are people who really don't matter. In fact, on my socials, if I see you, let's say we are friends, and I see someone commenting nonsense on your page, I learned this from this comedian called YY. I'll block them from there.
Me too.
I have no time to respond.
Or
yes.
I go on a page and someone said something about me, and you're there, and you follow me. Yes. That's the last time you're following me. I will have time. Yeah. I will go, wait, someone said what? Oh, so you liked. But when I check your profile, you are following me.
Yeah.
You are blocked.
Yeah. So, okay, that one I may not follow, but you get what I'm saying. So the people who, in fact, there was a young man, I had scaled down, I bought a smaller car. And they were laughing at me, a guy we play basketball with. And he was like, hey, I'm umesota, unaendesha kadudu. Here the guy does not have a driving license. Oh. You get my point? So, kids, teach them, let them see you vulnerable. Yeah, so once in a while, jump into a matatu with them. Let them see. Okay? Let them be content. Because at the end of the day, this child one day, you may not be there for them. They'll have to look for a way of maneuvering. They'll have to look for a way from negotiating themselves. Yeah.
Allow me to go back to that moment because it's important to acknowledge that maybe that's where someone who is watching right now is their moment of downsizing and their moment of scaling down. Yes. And I love that you said in that moment, one of the things you did again was downsize. What else did you do to bounce back?
Well, one of the things that I learned, you see, and I don't want to be misunderstood by saying this. Okay. You're in that season, you're in a deep. They say a drowning man will clutch at a straw. Yeah. And the straw we clutch at, most of it is debt. Hey, Lynn, nikubaya, do you have 10K? Kuna pesa nangoja, please lend me. So what are you doing? You're piling debt over debt. It puts more pressure. Because you're busy fighting this situation. Please stop. Stop fighting. If they're telling you they will come and auction you tomorrow, open the gates. They don't have to break in.
Oof.
You understand? Because sometimes we put up the fight. We are too busy fighting. We forget the lesson. We can't see the lesson. So you've been fighting until you learn, okay, this season, what am I supposed to be learning? Let me be the laughing stock, fine. Let whatever needs to crumble, crumble. Are we together? I remember I was called by these digital loans. I think I had a debt of, if this person is watching me, I had a debt of 7,000 from my digital loans. And they called me, we won't send auctioneers because you've not paid our 7,000. I'm like, when you send them with something to eat. And she laughed. She's like, okay, nikubaya hivo. I'm like, yeah. So you come. We are going to list you negatively in CRB. I'm like, even better. Why? Because no one else will lend me money. So sometimes when you're rolling down the hill, even stopping is making progress. So that
even what?
even stopping is
It's
making
making
progress. Yeah.
progress.
When you're rolling down, you don't start by climbing back. You
Yeah.
start by hanging somewhere to stop. You get my point? Yeah. So that lady laughed. She's like, so when do you plan to pay? I told her, call me after a month. Probably things will have changed. She called me faithfully. She became my friend on phone. I don't even remember her name. Then I told her, me, I'll pay you when I'm ready. Because right now it's hand to mouth. Okay? I think a year and a half later, I got a message. Please, it was 7,000. So please pay, I think, your 4,000 something. I ignore the interest. I quickly paid. You get my point? So sometimes you don't have to fight. Because you'll miss that lesson.
Because we are fighting. Wow, I love what you've said. I want to fight so hard to stay the same. What factors do we fear? Do we fear the shame? Do we fear what will people say?
Yes.
Do we want to keep an image that's no longer there?
Yes. There's and that's the sad part. You will find, and especially men. Men is where we are dropping the ball. You see, ladies are vulnerable. Okay? And it's very easy for a lady to get help. Are you aware? It's very easy. Okay? And that is why the curse for us as men is higher. Because how many men can sit down with their wives and tell them, hey, I'm broke? How many?
Okay.
They would rather borrow to maintain that. And this is where now we fail to understand that also if you see, they normally say that when you're peeling peanuts for a blind man, it's very important to whistle. So that they don't think you're eating their peanuts. And that's the aspect of openness. Are we together? Financial freedom is also being free to know that I can actually tell my wife, hey, account inakaa hivi. It's like, those messages you're sent, disappearing messages. Hey, my account is like V1. Pesa inaikuja kama imeenda. If they are aware of that, there's openness and being honest and showing them what the situation is. But also, you don't want to be mediocre. This is where we are, but this is what I'm doing about it. Because life happens. Okay? So that way you're safer because she will know how to cover you. Part of what I tell people when you're dealing with black tax is reduce expectations of people. Hii mwaka tumeingia. Unaambia mzazi, hey, I took a loan, I'm doing this and this. So this year I may not be as consistent
as I was last year.
So what are you doing? You're reducing the
expectations.
Yeah. So if you don't whistle when you're peeling peanuts, this person is assuming ziko kwa mdomo. You understand? So that openness, that vulnerability, okay, is more or less like financial romance, where you're very, very open with your finances. Okay, that gives you freedom even as a man. So we cannot live in denial. We have to accept, even people who are dating, people who are in that situation, please speak out. You could be going for a Shylock loan, yet your wife ameweka pale gurumo, ameficha kakitu. So, and they can bail you out. You get. So it is very important to be vulnerable. And this is why we have to, don't fear the shame. Sometimes that what you're going through has a meaning. It has a purpose. Yeah. I'm reminded by the story of this guy who's called Lazarus. Not the Lazarus who died. Do you remember Lazarus who used to eat from what fell off the rich man's table? He was licked by dogs. Shame. He ate from what fell off from the rich man's table. Handouts. But guess what? No version of the Bible has told us the name of the rich guy. It's only Lazarus, isn't it? So meaning the significance of what Lazarus went is what we need to learn. Okay? So some people, you're probably being licked by dogs right now. People who you've never even talked to, now they're laughing at you because you're broke. You know, I've been to a place where even broke people are saying you're broke. Yeah. Mazi unapitia kwa kijiji o ghetto. Even that mama for chapo is like, kijana yangu shika hii chapati.
Go shika tu.
You get my point? So you have to get that point. And when you get to that point, now the victory, when you start to rise, now is much more rewarding. Because now you're able to build people. You have a testimony. And now it becomes easier. The next time you go under, you're not afraid of losing anything.
Yeah.
You know what to do.
Yes.
But now when you stay in denial, when that time comes, it will hit you harder.
Yeah.
And when it hits you now, you may never
You recover. You learn through experience and application.
Yes.
So you experience, then now later on,
Yes.
you get to apply what you...
Yes.
Interesting.
And to affirm even that person who is going through this, most people that I have met who have gone through a deep, and especially for men, I've been doing a study on men between 30 and 45, you must go through a deep. It could be financial, it could be loss of a loved one, it could be marriage. Those of them who go through a deep and they come out on the first one, the story is normally much higher, 3-4 times what they had. It's something I've seen. The people who have seen their life is okay, it's neither high, it's neither low.
Yeah.
Those ones stay like that. The same people who are laughing at me, these are the people who are like, hey, bro, when can I come and see you? You get my point?
Yeah.
And now, you come. Let me share what I have. Because at the end of the day, we don't have much time. And this again brings the aspect of purpose. You know, if you chase your purpose, money will chase you as well. Okay? But if you chase money, purpose is on the other side.
Exactly.
So because you'll be compromising on everything. So I feel like we need to get to that place. Ignore the shame. Ignore the being licked by dogs. Stick to your purpose. Understand your story. Don't fight too much. Accept where you are. Find contentment. And move
on.
Yeah.
You know, I was listening to one of a podcast you were in, and you said something very important. The reason why sometimes it's hard for you to move on is because, I'm just paraphrasing, but it's because you've stayed in loss for so long.
Yes.
You dwell.
Yes.
Ulika hapo sana.
Yes. They normally say, you see, like Dandora, dump site.
Yeah.
It's very smelly. If you go there, you'll do a mask. You will struggle.
Yes.
But guess what? You stay there for a day. 2 days, it stops smelling. I'm trying to be modest with my language because they say if you stay in for too long, it stops smelling. And that is the problem. It is okay to live in Kibera, to be born in Kibera. But to die in Kibera, you have to look at it as a transition. At least make effort every day. Sometimes I tell people it's not about counting the money. It's about making it count. Umelipwa so mbili leo. It's a casual job. You've earned 200 shillings. Okay? You may not invest in it, but can you live within the 200 shillings? Say if it's rent, I'll pay with 50 bob per day. I'll buy kerosene of 50 bob. And then I'll eat 100. So that if tomorrow your boss gives you an extra 50, that 50 is setting aside. Yeah. I keep telling people that I'm one of those people who ate COVID money.
What do you mean?
You remember, there are some people who are receiving money weekly. So broke, I switched lines because the one of the networks was cheaper.
Who received money?
Now, I was getting 1,000 bob every Tuesday.
From where?
I don't know. Kenya, government of Kenya.
Ivan petition. Where is ours?
No, I think it's for law-abiding citizen.
For
real?
Happened.
Yeah. And one of the things we used to do is take the 300 buy tokens for steamer. Yeah. And during the day, unazima steamer. And you'd buy ungas and a tray of eggs so that there's food. You understand? And you'd squeeze the 1,000 to feed for the week. So it's not about, this is about respecting money. It's about respecting
like 1,000 per week?
Yes.
When a family?
Yes.
You, wife and the kids?
That time we had, I was living alone.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And you'd survive like that.
Man.
You get. So even that person earning that money, don't despise pesa. Money stays where it is needed. It does not say where it is needed. It stays where it is respected.
You said that.
Yes.
In your post.
Yes.
Money stays where?
Yeah, it is respected, not where it is needed. But you see now, the casual way we have is that if today I give you, let's say you have like, you wanted to do your shopping and let's say you have like 50,000 on your M-Pesa. And I'd say, Lynn, I owe you coffee, I forgot, I've sent you 1,000 bob. So in the evening, that 1,000 may not be significant, isn't it? You may not even notice. But if it was that situation, allow me to use your camera guy, because he's become my friend.
Muga.
Yes. He's waiting for this deal to come through. And he gets home, he has used all his digital apps, so he has no money, even on his phone. But then, as he's, planning to do something, then the tokens are over. So he's in the dark, he doesn't have anything. And I send him that 1,000. Tell me if that 1,000 is not a miracle.
It is.
But yet, I send the same amount to you, it did not make sense. Why did it make sense to him? Because he has allocated it to a recurrent expense, to a need. So I keep telling people, this ka 500, ka 200 you get. Buy tokens, don't let it stay idle. Are we together? Yeah. This is called being intentional, respecting small monies. Okay? And then over time, you will maneuver. So those are some of the lessons I learned when I was pale chini. So don't fight it. Learn the lessons. Yeah, observe people. Observe people. Yeah, there are people there are decisions that would not be made if you're not there. Even in families. This is a time you need to now start identifying. Hey, probably I need boundaries in my family meetings. You get? Because their decisions would not be made. Yeah. And don't be bitter. You see, the other thing is also now being bitter. Stay focused. Because there's so much to achieve than being bitter.
Don't be bitter and don't be jealous of other people.
Yes.
Wow. Can I go back to the downsizing?
Yes.
Because I'm interested in the relationship dynamics. What do you think made it easy for you and your wife to be in agreement and say, let's, because, as women, ukinitoa kwa nyumba ya 4 bedroom, unanipeleka kwa ya 2, I'm like, hey.
At some point, it's painful because sometimes separation happens. And then you're trying to maneuver such things. Sometimes, even that separation, don't fight it. Because you're thinking, what will people think? Let me tell you something. There are some things you will not achieve if you don't learn to do self-reflection. They are hard lessons that you can only figure out when you are alone, seated in that darkness. Okay? They are painful. Okay? Now, what most people do is fight it. You want to insist. Because let me tell you something. I have been doing coaching and I'm here. It's until 2-3 years ago when I started doing social media. Now guys are like, okay, influencer. I'm more of a coach than an influencer. Okay? If you don't get to that place of solitude where you're able to self-reflect, you will forever blame everybody who left you. You will forever be bitter and you don't recover because you'll be looking at these people and you can't look at them. And if anything happens in you, change, change will always happen and we see the fruit. Inevitable. Genuine change, yes. So one of the things that did is isolating to that part. Even an eagle, when it turns around 40, it is old, it cannot fly, the feathers are heavy, they are blunt, the talons are blunt. It isolates to the mountain.
Yeah.
The first thing it does is pluck off its feathers and the talons. Then it hits its beak on the rock until it falls off. Then it takes almost a year for it to grow again, new feathers, new talon, and it can live for another 40 years. I believe in the same analogy. Everybody needs that, a time to reflection, to find themselves, to refocus, because I feel like it started from here. Then I was able to restructure a couple of investments that I had and build a brand around this, develop cash flow, develop programs. And then over time, that's how you got out of the of that time. Yes. But if you start there bitter, because I've seen people who did not make it, and especially as for men, there's always a friend close to you here. It's called suicide. I don't know why it happens to men a lot. Giving up is normally a very easy option. Yeah.
Has that been your journey?
Twice. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not immune. So I'm encouraging every man, if you're going through this, in fact, they can just go to our socials and just DM. Can see to them. I get a lot of that, especially for men. Just come, we talk. I share with you my story. In fact, there's something I do, financial therapy. Yeah. So there's something I want to share with you. This is data that we have in our organization. I do something called financial therapy, where we sit down, we go through your finances. You tell me for how long you've been feeling broke. Yeah, I'm kidding. we explain your situation.
Yes.
But however, you realize that women are more proactive. So out of 100 clients, you'll find 90 are women. Okay? Probably one is going through a crisis, but most of them are proactive. But out of the 10 men who will come and see me, there's only 1 or 2 who are proactive. The 8, they're going through a crisis. So a man can sit there, they share their story. You know, there's what we put on, and then there's what is inside.
You.
Then I see that right through. So it is something that we need to sit down, just address. Yes. So let that person not feel sorry because you've been left. It is good. It gives you time for solitude. It gives you time for reflection. It's time to restructure. Yeah. Might work, might not work. Yeah. But you have to deal with it.
Okay. So are we saying women and men's approach to money is totally different?
Totally different. Very different. Very, very different. You know, women naturally are proactive. They will feel, okay, I need to learn something, because that's why they are followers. Are you together? Most women will desire leadership, okay? But also at the same time, they desire some sort of security. That is why us men, when we risk outside there, we are risking our money. The lady will be like, okay, let me do something for myself. You understand? And that's the very nature of women. Okay, they are looking for some sort of security.
Yes.
But for us men, we want to conquer.
You want to risk it
We
all.
want to provide. So the day I provide for so long and I make one mistake, and that's why we normally say men's mistakes are more expensive than women's. And I mess up, and then you're doing your stuff. Now I feel like you're doing your own stuff. I feel unappreciated. That is what will break me, because I'll feel like after all I did, this was not appreciated.
Yes.
Yes. So those are the two perspectives. But the two can be able to be combined for a greater cause. Because what if we work towards goals and I get to understand why you want what you want? You know, there's an analogy, it's called, I think, the lemon analogy, where a couple is fighting over some lemons in the fridge. And they are like, okay, let's split 50-50, which sounds fair, right?
Yeah.
But then they did not ask each other, why do you need the lemons? So the dude wants to make lemonade, so he needs the pulp. The lady wants to bake, so she needs the peel. Are you together? So that is utilizing of resources, which can be achieved together, and it will take a shorter time. So even the Bible says none is independent from the other. Okay, that's why a strand of more cords is stronger than the one that has less or one cord. So let's be intentional about this conversation. Sometimes all you need to do is talk through the needs, what this person needs. Yeah.
Wow, and understand their why.
Yes.
Okay.
Because if you understand the why, it is easy to know the how to. Yeah.
All right. I want us to briefly touch on paycheck to paycheck. Me, I don't think there's such a hard life like that, man. You know, like, yes, unagoja kamshahara kana come,
Yes.
end month, you know, you have your salary, it may come. But by the time this month is over, by date 17,
Yes.
you have nothing. Then now you start hoping again for end month. So how do we, first, is living paycheck to paycheck a good thing? Or what are some of the, you know, what are some of the solutions you have for people who, you know, just paycheck?
Yeah. You've said on 17th you don't have anything. You actually have something.
Myself.
Too much month at the end of the money.
What?
Too much month at the end of the money.
Oh, wow.
So it is something that is a very actually honest conversation. And this is what people need to realize. That you also have to start questioning where you are. Sometimes it could be a sign. This is me, and this may not work for everybody. That it is a sign for you to be offensive. You see, if you watch soccer, and again, now you see what was and what ongei sana. There's a guy who used to be called Mourinho. When he is playing these big games, let's say it's a finals, he would quickly score a goal in first 10 minutes, but then he would go and park the bus, change all the strikers and put defenders, and he would defend the entire game. Now, not many coaches have pulled that. Because in this life, you cannot just be you cannot just defend. You have to be on the offensive. Sometimes it is good to start analyzing. Okay, how long have I worked? You see, it could be a temporary thing.
Yes.
But if you worked in a place for 10 years, it's hand to mouth, you're not investing anything. Probably it's time to start auditing some of your behaviors. Some of our jobs have actually been the hinders of us achieving our purpose. Do you know, I was challenging some young people and I was telling them, do you know you can create a job within a job? There are people who've started departments, and those departments now, they've been heading those departments because they're giving solutions. Is it time that you change your mind that you're not just working for money, but now you're giving solutions? Some of the best consultants have come from the jobs they were actually doing. Okay? It's a proven fact that most people hate Mondays. Why? Because most people hate their jobs. Okay? Nowadays, I hear it has advanced. It's not just Mondays. You hate every day of the week, other than Friday afternoons. Yeah. So you have to start asking yourself, I'm working for this long. Is it serving to my purpose? Okay? There are some hidden talents and abilities. Like I shared, the first chapter of my book talks about the things you can do to earn you an income. That time I was so much in debt, my car was almost being auctioned. And I started looking within my abilities. I play basketball, I've played for long. Can I get a certificate to start coaching?
Oh, wow.
I started making money. Someone asked me, you go to radio stations, do you charge for consultancy? I'm like,
Lynn, I got you.
Yeah. Consultancy ni hii. And the lady was so nice, they gave me a till number. So I'd make 2,000, lipa kwa hii.
Wow.
Lipa. So what happened? Within a very short time, I was done with my debt. Okay? I could be able to connect people here and there, so I could earn commissions. Are we together? So there are so many things you can do within our ability. So one of the things I did is that the things that did not require me to put in capital are the ones I started with. Then they fed the things that required capital. That's how sometimes you move maneuvers. So stop, first of all, having a pity party because it's end-to-end. Complaining, sijui taxes. Kwanza, hata pension haijaingia. So those in Kenya, it will start being deducted. You cannot just be defending the entire time. You have to be on the offensive. Look at options. Okay? Because even if you're reducing expenses, you cannot do that forever. Because if you say you're scaling down to a house and moving 20 kilometers away from your workplace, you will be spending more on bus fare. Okay? So you have to look for ways on how to being on the offensive. You have to look for a passive income. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why do we find it hard to leave a job? Is it because it's a comfort zone? Or why is it so hard to resign?
You know, they normally say, this is actually, I think it's Dave Ramsey, who said that chains of habit, you know, those two habits that you do continuously, it becomes a chain, cannot easily be felt until they are too difficult to be broken. Case in point, during COVID, did people lose jobs?
A lot.
Now, do you know, according to the Register of Businesses, our business registration in Kenya during COVID and globally went up by double. People are registering businesses. People you never thought were doing open markets, selling merchandise on our roads. Yeah. Why? So we are waiting for a calamity to push us. What if there was no calamity and we chose to push ourselves? There are so many things we can be able to do. So don't be afraid of leaving that job. It's not yours. At some point you'll exit. But how will you exit? I tell people careers are like a forest, you know, like a circular forest. So when you enter, you don't know the time you'll be at the center and you don't know the time you'll start to exit.
Yeah, true.
Are we together?
True.
So what you do or how faster you walk will determine how you will exit the forest. So we have to be a bit intentional. Ignore. There's this notion that someone said that the salary is what your employer pays you as a bribe, not to pursue your own goals.
True.
Yeah. So you have to start asking yourself, can my boss pay me enough to be their neighbor? No. Okay. And most importantly, what is the bigger purpose that I have? Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. What's the greatest thing you've learned about money?
Well, I think for me right now is contentment. Sorry, okay, I may not apologize, but I do a lot of, when there's a lot of wisdom that comes from the Bible. And most Christians love, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's Philippians 4:13. But when you read the earlier 2 verses, Paul was telling the Philippians, I'm not saying this because I have a lot. And I'm saying this because I have had plenty.
Yes.
I have had enough. I have been hungry. I have been fed. Are we together? And I have learnt the art of contentment. Therefore, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So it's the art of contentment. If you can learn to be content with money, that I know today is what our legend Kipchoge says, vitamin N. Lynn is saying, let's go for lunch. Drinks on me or utabai nyama. I'm like, Lynn, I don't have money. That enough is a win. Because you'd be like, okay, Samantha, I don't care. Because you're learning to say no.
Say no.
And you're learning. So for me, contentment has been a major thing. For me, it's a goal. Whether I become a billionaire or not, I'll be content with the little I have. I'll still walk freely with my boys, play my basketball at my age, enjoy my life. And whatever is there is what we will share. Do we have big goals? Yes. Do we have big dreams? Yes. Okay. Have we done our best today towards those goals?
Our
yes.
best.
Yes. Yes. You can't fail if you've done your best. Yeah.
I want to wind up, but there's a book we've been, talking about here, but we've not maybe extensively told our audience what's about. I love the cover photo. Turnaround Solutions, a personal guide towards practical financial solutions. What can they find here and where can they find the book?
First of all, this book is meant for Kenyans. You see the size?
Yes. More Kenya.
We don't like reading a lot. So it's a practical
That
guide.
culture is changing.
Yeah,
though. Like that, I'm happy that's changing.
Yes.
I'm actually interacting with people who are reading
Okay.
a lot.
Yes.
Kenyan authors who are writing a lot. Even here, I have a lot of Kenyan books. So
Yes, yeah.
I love that culture is shifting.
Yes, it's shifting slowly.
Yeah.
So I did this book in 2017. It's a practical guide where you'll work with your significant others.
Yes.
Fill in some tables, you can do your own analysis. This book is, if you're in Kenya, it can be found in Naivas, all Naivases in Kenya. And if you need the soft copy, we are working on that so that it's on Amazon. We faced a few challenges, but we'll soon get there. But this one, for now, you can get it at Naivas.
At Naivas.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. That's beautiful. What other books would you recommend?
One, I know I'm an author, but I tell people before you read my book, there's a book by Van Hansel, The Psychology of Money. Please read that book. It will prove to you that you're not an idiot. That's the whole chapter, the first chapter. For me, it's a book that has transformed my thinking. Remember, it has to start from here before it goes to your pocket. Yes. So that book for me is a top book that everybody should read.
Yeah, it's a top tier.
Yeah, Psychology of Money. Yes.
Another one?
The other one I would want to talk about.
It doesn't have to be about money.
Yes. I would want people to also look at Rich Dad Poor Dad. It also now changes one or two cultures about the way we look at money and the way we look at inheritance. For me, it also it's a very simple book, but yet very, very impactful. Okay. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
We have so many goals for 2025. Do you believe in setting goals? New year, new me.
Definitely. Yeah.
What are you looking forward to this year?
We are looking forward to go more of tech because we realize now in 2025 you have to include tech because we want to transverse the entire Africa, especially sub-Saharan Africa, because our challenges are the same. Yeah. So we want to bring more of tech. You'll be seeing a lot of us, especially in podcast. We are launching something. Please look out on our socials.
Beautiful.
And purely educational. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That's on the Money Gossip.
Money Gossip. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. I know people would have loved me to tell them, for you to speak about the origin of Money Gossip and Money Clinic. Yes. Do you want to briefly touch on it? So I don't feel like I've taken away from that.
Yes. Money Clinic is actually, they're both registered entities.
Yes.
Money Clinic is a bigger is a bigger platform where we do trainings for corporates. Money Gossip is where we try to make the conversation easy, hence gossip. You know, gossip is very sweet, and everybody wants to listen.
Yes.
So that's why we need to make money gossip easy. So in that, we normally have, under money gossip, we now have the financial therapy. You'll find you're not sure of what you're doing. You're probably somewhere you're wondering, who can I talk to about some of the strategies I have about money? So we have that financial therapy, which could be one-off. It could also be a 6 weeks program or a 10-week program, which is in all our profiles. So if someone needs that conversation, it's good. Then we have solutions again under money gossip, still for groups. You have chamas, you have families, you have employees that you'd like us to have a conversation with. It could be one-off, it could be a continuous plan. So we have all that under money gossip.
How was 2024 for you? Like, how many people would you say you coached last year?
We coach. So in a year, groups of people that you've trained could be between 800 and 1,000. The people who sign up for financial therapy could be about 30. For financial therapy. So the numbers were not really bad, because again, we also want to improve our numbers in terms of financial literacy penetration in Kenya. Our brothers in Tanzania are ahead of us in terms of, yes, they are ahead.
How so?
It's a ranking of penetration. So they at 42, we at 40. So we need to improve that. And that's why I also tell people I'm not the only voice in Kenya talking about financial literacy. I have so many friends who we've worked together, and I tell them we are not competing. We have a lot of ground to cover. So also widely look at some of the people we've collaborated with and learn as much as you can, because there are some things I might bring out better. There are some things like my friend Susan Wanjiko might bring much better than I do. So it's important for us to be able to share all this.
I love it. I asked the numbers because I know a lot of people are now opening themselves up to financial coaching, which is really beautiful to see. I always say, especially when I hear that, you know, the number one reason for breakups is money, finances. Man, you would think it's sex or communication or something, but when you hear it's actually finances, that needs it's a call to action for so many people. Need to have this conversation. So I appreciate you. I don't want to wind up. Maybe before you touch on anything else you feel like you would have touched on, do you have anything else you want to add? Feel free.
I think I'll just challenge people. I mean, for you to create a good journey for your finances, I think the first thing you need to do is, first of all, be intentional. Be very intentional about every money decision you make. Okay? It could be as little as you're going home. There's a nganya here with loud music, and there's another kawaida, decent matatu. So this one is 100, this one is 80 bob. The fact that you're asking yourself, is the 20 bob worth it? Then we've started the journey of being intentional. It's not even per se investment, like we said. If we can be able to be that intentional, then it will start a good thing. The second thing we need to do is start auditing yourself. You know, every year, if companies every year, they will hire professional auditors to sit down with every expense, both internal and external. Why not you? Start auditing yourself. Okay, the last 3 months, how has been my spending? Can I get a statement either on my phone or from my bank? Ask yourself, how much money did I spend on this? Okay, I have been borrowing for the last 10 years. What have I done with my debt? Nothing. Can I borrow on what? Can I look at why I'm borrowing? I have these relationships with people which I'm always spending. Audit those relationships.
Always the one paying the bill.
Exactly. So start an audit. And then number 3, please set very simple but practical goals. Don't overthink. Say, this year, my goal in the next 3 months is to come out of digital loans. It is a goal. It is achievable. Commit to it. And then finally, hold yourself accountable. That's why we have financial therapy, where we can subscribe to something. Like I mentioned, they are my friends who we collaborate. Follow them. Follow. Learn. Before you share... as if you're the meme lord of your group, before you share that kafani joke, learn something on social media. Go to TikTok. My videos on TikTok are less than a minute. I am sure you can afford a minute a day.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Subscribe to a program like this one. You know, listen to Lynn if you if you have time. Go through the channels. I'm sure you have small bits that some of the quotes will throw. Let people subscribe because that commitment and being held accountable is what will help us achieve. Yeah.
Be intentional about your growth.
Yes.
All right. Where can people find you?
Well, first of all, my offices are in Upper Hill.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm within Nairobi, and our contacts and our socials on Instagram is Money Clinic, KE. Money Clinic, just go to the DM, you'll find, you send a question, or if you want an appointment, you can get it from there. Facebook is still Money Clinic. On TikTok is Money Gossip.
All right.
Money Gossip, where I don't dance, so all my videos are short within a minute. Just DM there as well, comment, and then we see if we can be able to make progress.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Amos.
Asante
It's been
sana.
amazing finally getting to have you on the couch. We started planning this last year. I'm
Yes.
happy today. You know,
Yes.
it has come to fruition. And I honestly can't wait to see how many other conversations we will be able to have in the course of the year. But maybe before I let you go, do you have a parting shot to our audience?
I'll just encourage you. It's not as bad as it looks. It's not as bad as it looks. Find yourself. You're the most important. You're the asset. You're the prize here. Once you get hold of yourself, everything else you can conquer. So it's not that bad. Yeah, it's just loud, but it's not that bad.
Beautiful. Allow me to just second you on that. You know, that has actually been my take home. I say 2025 is my year of slow living. It's not that bad. You don't have to be in a rush. You don't have to sweat it out. You just have to do, you know, sometimes as a human being, you need to be very honest with, have I done my best?
Yes.
I think what it's us is you want to be motivated, but deep down you don't want to work towards you saying, have I done my best? So I'm analyzing myself each and every day, and I'm like, did I do my best today? And I feel like that's enough.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's never
All
that.
right. Thank you so much, guys. God, I honestly don't want to wind up. I feel like in my head, there are so many things I've not asked, but there's always room for another conversation. And I hope you can be able to let me know through the comment section, what's that one thing that you've taken away from today's conversation, along in line with our theme. What have you learned? What are you unlearning? And what are you relearning about money? And if you would want to see Amos back on this platform, let me know what are some of your questions so that we might be able to address them on our next conversation. But I know he's also very active on his social platforms, so you can also shoot those questions. And who knows, we will always be able to engage with you. And I hope once again we can have him for another show. But I hope we've learned, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to my incredible team that gets to put this work together. I appreciate you. Our partners at Kings Developers Limited, thank you so much. And if you want to engage with Amos, as I've said, there's so many things on his social platforms. His handles are on the screen right now. And I've always said, if there's anything you can't share publicly on the comment section, info@lnn.digital, that's where you can be able to get me, and I will handle all your concerns or questions or suggestions. Yeah, tuonaneni tena tomorrow. We are back 10 a.m. or 7 p.m. Bye-bye.